Life for All presents Daily Food Series Galatians, the only gospel, the gospel of Christ. Title of Book 4, Whatever a Man sows, that he will also reap, by Pedro. Week 2, The Works of the Flesh and the Fruit of the Spirit. Monday, How God's Will is Executed. Read with prayer. Having made known to us the mystery of his will, according to his good pleasure, which he purposed in himself. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 9. The Works of the Flesh and the Fruit of the Spirit is this week's title, through which we will see how the gear structure of God's will works and what relationship this will has with man. It will also show what kind of people God seeks to fulfill his will and how capable they need to be so that God can use them. The relationship between the law and the flesh will be addressed in a very enlightening way to reveal that both belong to the same sphere and are incapable of pleasing God. Next, we will answer the question, how can we be free from sin and from slavery to the law? Finally, we will conclude with the importance of oneness in the Lord's work by using the functioning of the laser beam as an illustration. In the first chapter of Genesis, we read, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters." Verses 1 and 2. From the beginning, God created man to have dominion over the earth. So he made him according to his image and likeness. Verses 26 through 28. It is important to understand God's way of working. Something happened between verses 1 and 2 for the earth to become without form and void. We know that there was a rebellion by an angelic being called Lucifer, who became God's adversary and was named Satan. He involved the pre-Adamic creatures existing on earth in this rebellion, and the Lord judged them with the waters of death. The entire earth was covered with the waters of God's judgment, but he did not abandon it because he intended to place man on it. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 18. For this, he needed to restore it. The sign that this restoration would occur was that the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Wherever the Spirit of God is, there will be hope that God will carry out his work. If God had abandoned the earth, the Spirit of God would not be hovering over the waters because he is always ready to carry out God's will. In verse 3 we read, "Then God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light." Genesis chapter 1. The word of command came out of the mouth of God and impelled the Spirit to do the work. God the Father has a will, and all work must proceed from that will. Nothing takes place unless there is firstly a desire in God's heart. The Son, who is the Word of God, knows the heart of the Father and gives the voice of command for the work to be done. And the Spirit of God, in turn, carries out that work. In Ephesians we read, "Having predestined us to adoption as sons," sonship, "by Jesus Christ to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will, having made known to us the mystery of his will, according to his good pleasure, which he purposed in himself." Chapter 1, verse 5 and verse 9. These verses show us how God's work is carried out. First, God has a will, a desire in his heart, which is indicated by the word good pleasure. The will belongs to the Father and is in accordance with what pleases him. Then, with the Son, Christ, there is a proposal or a project. In the 8th chapter of Proverbs, the Son is presented as the wisdom of God, and therefore was used to design and to be the architect of all creation. Verses 22 through 31. The Son, who is the Word of God, comes from the mouth of the Father as a voice of a command, by which the Spirit carries out the Father's desire. This is how the mechanism for the execution of the work of God works.